Marlon Brando believed that genius didn't need to smell fresh. He could go weeks without a shower or deodorant, and his scent alone was enough to knock a cameraman off his feet. But he wasn't the only one. Today, we're uncovering the unwashed truth about Hollywood's golden idols, the sweat, the booze, and the stench hiding beneath the glamour. Charlie Chaplin's dirty little secret. He made the whole world laugh, yet off camera, few people were smiling around him. Charlie Chaplin might have been a comic genius, but his hygiene was the real punchline. People who worked with Chaplin often whispered that he wore the same clothes for days on end, socks, underwear, and all. His costumes were famously stained, sweaty, and reused until they could practically stand up on their own. Wardrobe staff begged him to change, but Chaplin hated being fussed over. He simply didn't care. Showers weren't part of his daily routine either. Instead of soap and water, he drowned himself in cologne to mask the odor with little success. Most said it made things worse. Actress Georgia Hale, his co-star in The Gold Rush, once described him as brilliant but difficult. That difficulty extended far beyond directing. Actress Edna Purviance even refused to rehearse with him at times until he'd freshened up. And then, there was the breath. Chaplin suffered from chronic halitosis, the kind of bad breath that made romantic scenes a nightmare. Toothpaste at the time was primitive, and Chaplin rarely brushed. Years of neglect and dental decay left his mouth in awful shape, and he lost several teeth early in life. Makeup artists weren't spared either. His skin was perpetually oily and grimy, so before every shoot, they had to powder him, not just for the camera, but to make him look somewhat clean. He'd grown up in poverty, in cramped rooms without running water, and even after fame brought him mansions and millions, his habits barely changed. Hygiene simply wasn't part of the transformation. No one dared speak about it publicly, but within studio walls, his odor was legendary. Some actors quietly asked directors to cut down their scenes with him. On screen, he was the lovable tramp, witty, graceful, unforgettable. Off-screen, he was remembered for something else entirely, being one of the smelliest men in Hollywood's golden age. Funny to millions, funky to everyone nearby. Clark Gable's charming smile and rotten breath. He was the ultimate Hollywood gentleman, tall, confident, effortlessly charming. But behind that dazzling smile was something that could clear a room faster than his fame ever filled it. By his early 30s, Clark Gable's mouth was a disaster zone. Years of smoking, poor hygiene, and gum disease had cost him most of his teeth. He wore dentures for much of his career, but they didn't save the situation, they made it worse. Food would get trapped, infections flared up, and his breath? Legendary, for all the wrong reasons. Actress Vivien Leigh, his co-star in Gone with the Wind, confided to friends that kissing scenes with Gable were awful.
We'll go tomorrow.
She wasn't alone. Other actresses quietly dreaded romantic close-ups. On camera, he was Prince Charming. Off camera, that charm ended the second he opened his mouth. Despite his million-dollar looks, people on set often joked that you could smell Gable before you saw him. He had a habit of eating onions and strong-smelling food right before filming and never bothered with mouthwash. Brushing was optional, even with a full set of dentures. In the 1930s, dental care wasn't what it is today, and Gable was paying the price. Crew members recalled moments when directors had to reshoot entire scenes because no one could focus through the odor.
That's my decision and my responsibility.
To whom, sir? To a crew that died a year ago?
Yes, to a dead crew, a dead sub.
To mask the problem, he sometimes chewed gum or drenched himself in cologne, but nothing worked. He was too powerful for anyone to confront him directly, so people simply endured one breath at a time. He looked like every woman's dream, but co-stars knew the truth. That dream came with a stench. Clark Gable may have been the king of romance on screen, but off it, he was known for something far less glamorous, the most infamous breath in Hollywood. Errol Flynn, the swashbuckler who forgot to bathe. On screen, he was every woman's fantasy, charming, daring, impossibly handsome. Off screen, that fantasy dissolved the moment you got close enough to smell it. Errol Flynn, the dashing star of Captain Blood and the Adventures of Robin Hood, had it all: fame, fortune, and fans who adored his pirate swagger. But there was one thing he didn't have: soap. Flynn was notoriously allergic to hygiene. Crew members said he could go days, sometimes weeks, without a proper bath. Even after grueling sword-fighting scenes under hot lights, he'd simply towel off, throw his shirt back on, and call it a day. By the end of filming, his costumes were stiff with sweat and practically radioactive. Co-stars dreaded love scenes. Olivia de Havilland, who worked with Flynn multiple times, never publicly badmouthed him, but insiders whispered that she privately begged directors to give her space literally.
Beginning to ache a little from the hammering they gave you?
Why do you ask?
Well, you seem to be batting away at a few tears there.
And the smell wasn't just sweat. Flynn's trailer often reeked of spoiled food. He'd keep snacks lying around until they rotted, mixing the sour scent with old clothes and body odor. One crew member said his dressing room smelled like something had died in there, and maybe had. He also had a superstition about his clothes. He'd wear the same lucky shirt for weeks. When costumers tried to replace it, he'd throw a tantrum. The shirt stayed, and so did the stench.
It's very thoughtful of you, my lord, but I think she'll wish to be disturbed. These dispatches bear the seal of Spain.
The crew fought back with perfume, incense, and open windows, but nothing could kill the aroma of Errol Flynn. Still, audiences adored him, and studio bosses didn't care. As long as the box office kept ringing, the man could have smelled like a brewery. He was the hero every boy wanted to be, the rogue every woman dreamed of. But off camera, Errol Flynn was Hollywood's most glamorous cautionary tale, proof that even legends can stink. Marlon Brando, the method actor who ditched the soap. He changed acting forever, but when it came to personal hygiene, Marlon Brando was pure chaos. Directors adored his talent, co-stars admired his brilliance, until they had to stand next to him. Brando famously refused to wear deodorant, claiming it was unnatural. Instead, he embraced what he called authentic living, which, apparently, meant sweating through entire shooting days and doing nothing about it. Under the studio lights, the smell was unmistakable. By lunchtime, you could track him by scent alone. During the making of A Streetcar Named Desire, crew members said Brando often showed up unwashed and drenched in sweat. That iconic soaked white t-shirt, it wasn't a costume trick, it was reality. And yes, it reeked.
And you are the queen of the Nile, sitting on your throne, swilling down my liquor, and you know what I say? Ha ha!
By the 1970s, Brando's habits had only worsened. On the set of Last Tango in Paris, director Bernardo Bertolucci admitted the actor refused any grooming routine at all. Brando would roll out of bed, skip the shower, and head straight to set ready to perform but not to smell decent. His co-star, Maria Schneider, later described the experience as emotionally brutal and olfactorily unforgettable.
I knew that I couldn't get into your pants unless I said, what did I say?
Combination of sleepless nights, heavy scenes, and his refusal to clean up left a stench that stuck in everyone's memory. Then came Apocalypse Now.
You're an errand boy, sent by grocery clerks.
Brando arrived overweight, brooding, and according to multiple crew members, unbathed. The team worked around him quickly, both for his mood and his smell. Makeup artists joked that they were powdering over a dumpster, trying to hide the scent rather than the shine. No one denied his genius, but everyone remembered his odor. He wanted to strip away artifice, to live truthfully, to be real. And he was a little too real. Brilliant actor, terrible roommate energy. Steve McQueen, cool, tough, and kind of gross. He was the king of cool, a rebel, a racer, a Hollywood icon.
Can I borrow that scattergun?
No. You're more than welcome.
But cool doesn't always mean clean. Off-screen, Steve McQueen had a reputation that smelled a little less glamorous. He hated routines, ignored hygiene, and preferred to smell like gasoline, sweat, and leather, a mix that didn't exactly scream leading man. McQueen lived for motorcycles, racing, and dust. He wasn't the type to waste time on showers or deodorant. Instead, he'd splash on a heavy musk cologne and call it a day that usually involved heat, engines, and sweat-soaked clothes. Crew members on The Thomas Crown Affair and Bullet said you could tell when McQueen entered the room your nose got there first. His co-star, Faye Dunaway, was professional, but insiders claimed she wasn't thrilled about those close-up scenes. His leather jackets and rugged outfits looked iconic on film, but they trapped sweat like a sponge. Wardrobe teams begged to launder them overnight, yet McQueen often refused. He liked them broken in. Translation, crusted with yesterday's sweat. He was also a heavy smoker, chain smoking through takes, which didn't help. Cigarette breath plus unwashed clothes, that was the real McQueen effect. Crew members reportedly kept breath mints nearby, not for themselves, but to offer him discreetly.
No, absolutely not. When I get through that wire, I'm not going to be peeking over fences making maps for you guys. By morning, I'm going to be so far away you couldn't hear it if they were shooting at me with howitzers.
Still, no one dared to confront him. McQueen was box office gold, and everyone knew it. Directors tolerated the smell, actors rolled their eyes and survived it. In private, he was the same man, barefoot, unshaven, free-spirited, and defiantly unconcerned with hygiene. To him, dirt was a badge of authenticity. Steve McQueen didn't clean up for anyone, and that's what made him cool. At least until you had to stand next to him.